Karen Bass have already proven their incompetence and poor leadership during the Los Angeles wildfires. Now, as we experience rampant lawlessness and civil unrest, it's never been more.
What I saw, what it looked to me like he was negotiating with a deaf prostitute.
Imagine this. Mel Gibson bursts in like he's headlining Mad Max, Governor Edition. Right behind him, Tyrus lumbers in, looking fresh off a WWE SmackDown stage. And poor Gavin Newsom. Suddenly, he's the unsuspecting target of a roast nobody signed up for. These two didn't just call him out, they basically hand-delivered a Dear John letter laced with extra sarcasm. Strap in, because this isn't your usual political theater. It's Hollywood chaos crashing straight into a reality check.
I asked my fellow Angelinos, why are Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass still in office? How much more of their destructive decision-making masquerading as leadership are we going to tolerate? It's time to take back our community and our state and put the power and the privilege in the hands of competent leaders whose goals are to protect us and the way of life this nation was.
Hit that like button and subscribe. You know you don't want to miss this. Mel Gibson has never been the type to quietly sip tea in the corner. Nope, he's the guy who kicks down the door, flips the table, and tells you the tea's poisoned while staring straight into your soul. And now? His latest masterpiece doesn't involve swords, war paint, or priests. No, it stars none other than the walking shampoo commercial himself, Gavin Newsom.
Watch the tape.
Yes!
He literally goes, I want some of this, then you do some of this, and I'll do some of that back to you, and then we'll do this, and then I'll pay you, and then we'll do it again.
True.
And then she kept saying, no. Okay, how about this? You do this one first, then we do this one, then we give a little back and forth.
California's governor, the man who looks like he was chiseled from marble by someone armed only with hair gel and smugnesses, somehow starring in a storyline even Hollywood couldn't dream up. Built like a refrigerator with opinions. The kind of guy who could crush a folding chair just by sitting on it. Gavin Newsom suddenly finds himself in a showdown he didn't audition for. If Gibson is the chaos grenade, Tyrus is the anvil. Together, they're a tag team that doesn't just call out Newsom, they make him look like the extra in his own political soap opera. And let's be honest, you know you've truly messed up when your harshest critics aren't rival politicians, but one of Hollywood's most unfiltered icons and a wrestler-turned-commentator, who acts like nonsense is literally toxic to him.
Leave out anything? I think there's about 100 other reasons too.
Well, you can't, it's not his words when he speaks.
Yeah.
You have to watch him closely. And some genius decided not to film him any lower than the shoulder.
Yes, did you? Yes.
So what did he do?
You couldn't see the hands.
No, but he sent Morris.
Why is Newsom suddenly in the hot seat? Simple. The guy runs California like it's an overpriced amusement park where every ride's broken. The bathrooms are locked, and you still have to drop $50 just to park. And instead of actually fixing anything, he's out there polishing his smile like it's a gold medal. Mel and Tyrus, they'd clearly had enough of this circus, and they didn't just throw shade, they brought a full-blown clip.
Gavin Newsom and LA Mayor Karen Bass, well, they were also suggesting that LA was under control, they had it covered, while of course LA was essentially burning, and they've been blaming Donald Trump for all the chaos in LA, while Gavin Newsom has been trying to emerge as the strong leader of the Democrats as he eyes off the presidency in 3 years' time. But actor Mel Gibson has spoken out, blasting the governor and the mayor, rightfully so, for their disastrous
Clear. This is the guy who spent decades in Hollywood watching phonies claw their way to the top by faking sincerity. And nothing screams phony louder than Newsom pretending to be the golden boy of progressive politics while his state looks like the backdrop of a dystopian Netflix drama. Gibson probably looks at Newsom and thinks, I've played villains less cartoonish than this guy. If Gibson is delivering surgical burns, Tyrus is a freight train of sarcasm bulldozing through him. And make no mistake, this isn't just about political missteps, it's about image. Newsom struts around like a wannabe presidential candidate, hair slicker than an oil spill, practicing his serious leader face in the mirror like he's auditioning for a daytime soap opera. Meanwhile, California has become a place where deodorant is locked behind glass cases, and tent cities compete with Starbucks for prime real estate. Gotham without Batman has nothing on this, and Mel Gibson, he's officially had it.
Yeah.
He's negotiating with the deaf prostitute.
Yeah.
Let's just stick with that.
Yeah.
More likely.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people have been coming out and calling out, Gavin Newsom endlessly, and the biggest one of all is Mel Gibson. We all know that he is a very big, open critic of Gavin Newsom, and he continues to actually do that, and rightfully so, because we already know that there's a lot of issues going on right now within the state of California.
Picture this. Gibson points out the chaos. Tyrus doubles down with a smirk that screams, "Yeah, we see you." And there's Newsom, standing like a prom king whose crown just got snatched. The humiliation. It's not just that they called him out, it's that their roast feels like the event of the century, when two people from completely different worlds, Hollywood chaos and wrestling grit, team up to mock you. Congratulations. Your politics have officially entered meme territory. California has become the political equivalent of a pothole-ridden road, expensive to fix, painful to navigate, and somehow ignored by the guy tasked with maintaining it. And the beauty, Mel Gibson isn't playing nice. No carefully worded critiques. He's throwing cinematic-sized insults. Type the hype man, nodding along and adding his own body-slamming comedic punches. Together, they don't just call out Newsom, they shove him into a spotlight so blinding even Hollywood red carpets look dim. The irony is perfect. Newsom always wanted to be the star, the guy whose perfect smile and slick one-liners made people swoon. Yet here he is, flattened by a Hollywood legend and a wrestling powerhouse.
His house in these wildfires.
Yeah.
And what you just saw there was an effort to recall the governor and Mayor Bass. Does his star power in this matter?
It matters in the sense we're playing it now on national television on a highly rated Fox and Friends First show, and that has gone viral on social media. And meanwhile, the same day that Mel Gibson says what he says there, and he's correct on so many things as far as the management of wildfires, Gavin Newsom's approval on the handling of the wildfires is only 30%.
Gibson and Tyrus turned him into the villain of their roast special. The kind of villain who's less Darth Vader and more Scooby-Doo bad guy. Pull off the mask, and it's just some guy running a scam on the town. And that's the sting. Newsom thought he was auditioning for president, but he ended up as the comic relief in someone else's act. If there's one thing Gavin Newsom excels at more than running California into the ground, it's pretending he isn't. He struts around like the lead in a Netflix political drama. But instead of intrigue and competence, it's endless scenes of him combing his hair while potholes multiply like rabbits in spring. If Gibson can look at a dystopian nightmare and say, "Nope, that's too much," then Newsom has officially crossed into parody territory. Enter Tyrus, dropping a verbal elbow from the top rope. No fancy phrasing needed, he just calls it what it is, a disaster in hair gel. This is a man built on being allergic to nonsense, and Newsom practically radiates it. Watching them roast him is like watching a pit bull tear into a chew toy shaped like a politician. No hesitation, no mercy, just the sound of squeaking plastic and shredded dignity.
Look at the blinking. Blink, look. Meet me at the house. Like, he's blinking. He's sending. I'm getting there. Hey, just so you know, I'm not wearing pants. And then, look, he's blinking. And then eventually, the camera guy realizing that he's signaling him, so he gets appalled, leans back, camera comes down, and then we're back to this. I'll do this for you. You do this for me a little. So he's saying whatever he's going to say. There it is. See? They couldn't hold him back. He's like, I'm not on film. Oh, I'm not. Nope.
What makes it truly hilarious is that Newsom probably thought he'd be untouchable here. Politicians usually expect their critics to be, well, politicians rival mayors, governors, or maybe a late-night host tossing a half-hearted joke. But Gibson and Tyrus? That's a whole different league. Gibson calls it out with all the subtlety of a car chase explosion. Tyrus follows up, making it clear this isn't just about California. It's about the absurdity of a man who acts like he's fit for the Oval Office while his state looks like a survival reality show where nobody wins. California is supposed to be the land of dreams, movies, beaches, glitz. Under news, it's become a theme park ride called The Collapse. Admission is free if you're homeless, overpriced if you're not. And the only ride that works is the one that takes you out of the state. Pointing that out isn't just funny, it's devastating. Because Gibson knows the difference between a blockbuster and a flop. And right now, California isn't even straight to DVD, it's straight to a YouTube fail compilation. The tag team roast is even better when you consider the contrast. Gibson storms in with fiery intensity, the kind that makes you think he might grab a sword and lead a charge down the 405. Newsom hands it to them. Like a gift basket, rolling blackouts, skyrocketing rent, crime rates that make Gotham look safe. Pick an issue. California is failing, but Newsom's hair, immaculate. If there were a tax break for pomade, the state would be debt-free. Gibson couldn't resist mocking that vanity, and Tyrus delivered the knockout punch. Great hair doesn't hide bad. Leadership hit just makes the collapse look prettier on camera. You can practically see Newsom backstage, watching the clips, desperately running his fingers through his perfectly coiffed hair, making sure not a single strand is out.
Well, speaking of full of I'm sorry, I'm confused. He's still governor, right?
Yes.
So he could do something about it. That's the most irritating thing, is that why did anyone say with a follow-up where he's like, the homeless situation is ridiculous? Follow-up question, aren't you governor?
Yeah.
Like, that's the difference. That's the difference between the radical left and President Trump. He'll talk about something.
111. Because when you've been reduced to a punchline, all that's left is the illusion of control. And in Newsom's case, that illusion comes wrapped in a shiny, blow-dried package. What makes this spectacle golden is how it exposes him for what he truly is, a man who mistakes appearance for substance. He's like a knockoff designer bag, looks fancy from afar, falls apart the second you use it. He survived plenty of scandals before. Lockdown dinner parties, policy failures brushed under the rug, endless speeches that feel like TED Talks for people who hate facts. But when Mel Gibson, a man whose rants are practically Hollywood legend, decides to make you his target, and Tyrus backs it up with heavyweight snark, suddenly your carefully curated image looks like a costume ripping apart on stage. He brilliances in the timing, just as Newsom was polishing his presidential ambitions, ready to audition for the big role. Gibson and Tyrus show up with a reality check so savage it makes his audition tape look like a blooper reel. Instead of striding onto the national stage as a contender, he's stumbling around as the butt of the joke, trying to figure out how two unlikely critics just manage to strip away the one thing he...
Their destructive decision-making masquerading as leadership are we going to tolerate? It's time to take back our community and our state and put the power and the privilege in the hands of competent leaders whose goals are to protect us and the way of life this nation was founded upon and promises to offer. That's all.
11111. And the humiliation isn't going away anytime soon. Gibson and Tyrus didn't just roast him in passing, they created a masterclass in dismantling the Newsom myth. You don't need convoluted policy arguments or endless debates. All you need is a sharp tongue, a sense of humor, and the courage to say what everyone else is thinking. The emperor isn't just wearing no clothes, he's rocking overpriced hair gel and a smug smirk, and now the whole world sees it. That's not confidence. It's delusion on steroids. Gibson doesn't even have to try, he's been in Hollywood long enough to recognize when someone's reading a script they didn't write. Newsom's entire campaign persona, it feels like it was pieced together by a committee of marketing interns who thought America's biggest concern was whether their leader's smile could survive a Category 5 hurricane. Gibson looks at that and sees a performance so shallow even straight to DVD action movies have more depth. Meanwhile, Tyrus treats the whole Newsom for president idea like a comedy bit. He doesn't just knock it down, he pile drives it into the ground and stands on top.
He's playing with us. Meet me at my house. You get mine. I get yours. It'll work out.
Paul, are they capable of soul searching? It feels like the party itself has no soul.
Yeah, I know, they have no soul. You know, it's a really interesting statement if you just kind of, you can break it in two. He spends the whole first part of that saying, we lost because this. Essentially what he says is, folks, we were on the wrong side of every...
To Gibson and Tyrus, the idea of Newsom running the country is like letting the guy who crashed the golf cart pilot the space shuttle. Sure, it might be entertaining for 5 seconds, but then you're just bracing for impact. And let's not forget, his resume is basically a highlight reel of California's biggest disasters. Homelessness spiraling, rolling blackouts, skyrocketing rents, the list goes on. But the best part, how Newsom handles criticism. Instead of fixing anything, he doubles down on the I'm polished, therefore I'm right strategy. It's like watching a kid try to pass a spelling test by writing their name in glitter. Gibson sees right through it, ripping into the facade with the intensity of a man who's fought wars, on screen and off. Tyrus, he just calls it like it is, an act, and a bad one at that. The kind of performance that would get booed off America's Got Talent. Before the second commercial break, imagine the presidential debates if Newsom actually showed up. On one side, seasoned political brawlers ready to go 10 rounds. On the other, Newsom, practicing his smirk in the mirror, hoping the lighting makes him look sincere. Gibson would probably compare it to casting a background extra in the lead role of an action movie. Tyrus, he'd call it what it is, is a mismatch so glaring it reads like satire. Timing couldn't be worse. Newsom's been meticulously staging his image, shaking hands in swing states, practicing the perfect smile, acting like he's casually testing the waters. Meanwhile, Gibson's fiery delivery paired with Tyrus's deadpan smackdowns is a content creator's dream and a nightmare for a man trying to keep his presidential sheen intact. The cherry on top, Newsom can't fight back, argue with Mel Gibson, trade jabs with a wrestler. The second he engages, he loses. Ignore them, and the roast lingers. Respond, and it escalates. It's a lose-lose scenario, and Gibson and Tyrus know it. They've got him cornered in a comedy chokehold.